morning, everyone. We're going to do America the Beautiful this morning. Seal Birdsell.
Lord, we pray for the power to be gentle, the strength to be forgiving, the patience to be understanding, and the endurance to accept the consequences of holding to what we believe to be right. May we put our trust in the power of good to overcome evil and the power of love to overcome hatred. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Cheech. All right, Megan, who do we have here as guests?
We've got two guests today. My friend Dave McAdoo is visiting us again. Hi, Dave. My friend, I'm back. And we have a guest who's just a guest. And that's awesome. It's Michael Vasella. Hi, Michael. We need more guests to just show up, right?
He said he saw the beef and beer post. So
all right. This is Bryce's guest. So we can count you for a ticket for beef and beer? All right, cool.
And we can accommodate too, Mike, if it gets you an application in hand.
All right, well, that's
welcome,
our guest.
Dave, and welcome, Mike. Dave, hope you're considering joining. As you see, it's a very active club. We do a lot of really cool things. There's a lot of really cool people here. So you fit the mold. So first of all, I want to thank Lexa for stepping in last week. Thanks very much. I was down in Florida doing some geriatricville things with my parents, and that went pretty well. So very much appreciate you covering last week. We have a board of directors meeting today immediately following. All committee chairs, you're welcome to attend. You're encouraged to attend. To just give us a very quick and brief update, and of course if you ever have anything that needs to be approved by the board, it's good there. And also just a reminder to all members that everyone's welcome at the board, and it's good for a makeup. District conference is coming up pretty fast here, Cindy. District 7430, it's at King of Prussia at Valley Forge this year from April 24th to 26th. Just out of curiosity, show of hands, who thinks is going to go for something of it? An overnight or just a day? 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5, good, perfect. So we're going to have a table. I think Rick and I are going to head down on Friday night, and the summit is on Saturday, so I'm good for Saturday. And the summit's during the day Saturday, correct? Okay. Hey guys, I mean, it's in Valley Forge. It's only a 45-minute drive. Some of the things that are discussed at the district conference really open your eyes up to what our reach is in the world. So I really encourage everybody to try to make it down there for part of it. And then also we have RLI coming up at DeSales University. RLI is Rotary Leadership Institute. It's for training, and I know, Lex, you're going for your pets training down at Valley Forge. So she'll know, stay away from blackjack. Today, good, all right, good. $5 on 27 red, if you do make it into Okay, so I got, Peter is extremely active in writing me emails right now, which is great. So I'm really building up some. I decided to give one wise saying this week, and this is a great one. Whenever you possibly can, do good to those who need it. I think that is the embodiment of Rotary, so I enjoyed that one. Okay, how about some announcements from the floor? Bob.
Well, it's been a while since I updated you on Peyton Halsey. Peyton Halsey is my favorite person of the whole world, but we got a close second now. Wilmer Schultz is here without the walker, and so it's a close between him and Peyton. Peyton's still ahead, but he's my second best player in the world. Here's a picture. I didn't make a lot of copies to pass it around, but this is a picture of Peyton in the middle and two other girls with the USA hockey team. She made the under 16 team when she was 14. She made the under 19 team when she was 16. And now she's made the under 21 team when she's 18. Now she'll be 19 in August, but this was taken last weekend at San Diego, California. They went out there for their first tournament. They played 3 games against Canada. They made Canada come from there to California, and they beat them all 3 times. So they did very well, and so Mountain, $2. We hope she stays with it, and we think she will. But with the USA hockey team, you have to re-qualify every year, you know, because at the year that there's the Olympics, that team goes to the Olympics. So my son and daughter-in-law are counting on her being next year in the Olympics, so we'll see what happens. So that's updating on her. Thank you very much.
You know, being that I collect invoices, I get to talk to some of our less frequent members, and I had a conversation with Moses Adjumu. He's been traveling out of state. He wishes he could get back here, and he hopes to get back at some point. He paid his dues, so he still wants to be part of the club. I've also been talking to Marge every 6 months, and her spirits are good. She's not really traveling, but she does hope to get out here in the spring. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but her spirits are good at least. Baseball season. Put that on your notes.
Good. Cindy?
Hi, don't forget today we have food packing over at Bethel Pantry. If anybody's available, it'll be at 10 o'clock today after the board meeting. A couple people cancel because of their work schedule. So if we need probably two more people. If you can come, just show up. Joanne, you can come. Well, you're already there because you're replacing Gary.
Oh, good.
So we have Joanne and Pat, one more. If anybody else would come, please do. I'm also passing, thanks Eric. I'm also passing to sign up for March, and I send an email out. So thanks everybody.
Eileen?
I want to thank everybody for bringing peanut butter to the meeting. I think counting what's out there today, we probably have about 35 to 40. We're due for 125, and March 25th is the last meeting you can bring peanut butter to. So if you have any, please get it there. If not, next week.
All right, peanut butter. All right. Jim?
Reminder that Ralph is going to be coming back next week from his winter vacation in the South, so please welcome him with a can of food for the needy or a little cash. I'm sure he'll take both.
Alicia?
Jeff, next week we will be celebrating International Women's Day. I encourage you to come and help us honor the women that we're going to honor, Geelong and Corinne Goodwin. All over the world, there will be celebration on March the 8th. The color that is used to celebrate International Women's Day is purple. And women, if you are willing to wear purple for that day, thank you, I appreciate it. At the end of the meeting, we will have a picture with all the women who did.
I know Don will.
The honorees.
Socks, purple socks.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
And probably a tie.
Thanks, Alicia. And I've said this a few times, guys. If you need a little kick, a little motivation kick, a little inspiration kick, come next week for it. The women that they identify and their speeches are really neat to listen to. All right, anyone else out there? No, I don't see any hands. Okay. Oh, wait, Bryce. Hi, buddy.
Hey, how are you? Quick announcement. You won't hear from me too much in person for a little bit, but did everyone get the initial save the date for beef and beer? All right, so that's coming up in about 8 weeks. Save the date, April 23rd, 6 to 9 at the House and Barn, the barn area, just like we had last year. Dolce Glenn Hoffman Trio is the same jazz band that was there last year. We lowered the price to $35, all you can eat and drink. All the proceeds go towards the Emmaus Rotary Foundation Scholarship, and as you guys know, they are allocated to deserving seniors from Emmaus. The Facebook page is live and updated with all the sponsorship levels, so please like it, share it, spread the good news. PDFs of the actual sponsorships will be allocated out. Don and I are working on it. We're gonna send it out through email so you guys can share it. And yeah, please share the news. It's an awesome cause. It's a really fun time. Last year was our first year. Turned out to be a good time. So please, come support it. Look forward to seeing everybody.
Bryce, question. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
being run through Club Runner for payments?
Yes, thank you. Everything is run through the Club Runner, the website set up, so they do take credit card payments. And as they log on with that email I sent, the link is in there. They can.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yep.
What is ERC BNB doing?
What do you mean by that?
That's the website for the event.
I sent you, yeah.
ERC BNB. Now, we have a website that we have that's ERC BNB. Is it on there?
No, Mark, I'll let
So-
you, Alec.
Well, no. I bought that web name, and I just need to have that link for whatever it is. So that if they were advertising that, so that they click on, they can just go to ercbnb.com. Or you guys can market it like that as well. Just go to ercbnb, beef and beer. But we have to get GoDaddy to forward the link to that part of Club Runner. So why don't you follow me later today on that?
So the link is in the email, so you would have the link, Steve.
Copy the link?
If you want to copy,
All right.
follow up on that. I didn't know that you had it or didn't remember it.
Yeah,
So,
I forgot
and I
you had
don't,
that
since
too.
I don't own it, I can't change it. So.
Okay. Well, then that way, I mean, without having a link, I guess you'd have to tell them to go to emmausrotary.org/da-da-da-da-da, right?
Well, or it's in an email like you sent out, and say,
Yeah.
click on this link.
Yeah, or just click, yeah, I forgot you had that.
All right, well, I can take care of that today. That's like a 5-minute thing, so it's not, you know.
So for simplicity, just use the link that I initially sent in the email, and people can click on that, and it goes right into the registration page for the event. I forgot about that.
Good. No, but that's good though. Also, so it's just for like the golf tournament when we have ercgolf.com. So when you're talking to people, if you don't have their email, you can just say ercgolf.com to register. Same thing with this, ercbnb.com to register. All right, great. Thanks, Bryce. Anyone else?
So your 5-minute thing took 10 minutes of discussion time, is that correct? Okay, go ahead.
That's a fine.
Okay, you can pay.
For you, pointing that out. Where's my emeritus? Is he here today? He'll make a decision on that one. All right, anyone else? All right, Sal, how about the raffle?
Okay, we'll ask our guests to pick a ticket. We have a gift card for Egypt Star Bakery. All right, last four digits, 9641. 9641.
Pick another ticket.
Boom.
No, no.
Is that you?
Yes. And retired clergy picked this ticket from me. Yay. Thanks.
That's when we take to the bottom, so it worked.
And it's a gift card, so I can't donate it back. That's good. All right, Sarge, take it away.
So, actually, only one person was late today.
Who was that?
He's waving his hand.
I think you ought to be waived, because it's 2 weeks in a row during tax season this year, and he has a pin on it.
3 weeks.
No, pin on it.
It's actually 3 weeks in a row. I know.
Keep talking, I'm gonna get a double fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still fighting with him for a fine, so we'll see how that works out. There was other people that have forgot. I noticed some people are taking these new spectacular name badges home. Some of them forget to bring them back. Some of them put them on in the coat room. I'm not gonna mention any names, Patrick, but I did see you. You know, as long as you bring them back, that's fine, but if you don't bring them back, it's a fine. You know what, 2 different versions of fine. Anyway, all right, let's go to Happy Dollar. Sue.
So I have $5 happy. 4 are for my granddaughter, Peyton's popular name today. Peyton was in her first acting gig on Bring You Amsterdam. It's gonna air, I think, next Tuesday. She's just a fleeting glimpse on Carousel, which with a whole bunch of kids, but it's her first paid acting gig in New York, so it's quite happy.
Sarah Happy Dollars, one for back, good to be back from Mexico. 2, my stepfather, after 10 days of being in the hospital, he seems to be doing better, although he And the other one, I have a daughter who is in a very, very, very enviable position. She just graduated from an attorney, and she has 3 offers. She's already employed, and she has 3 offers. So this week she has to make up her mind on what's the best one. And the 4th one, our committee has done a tremendous job for the International Women's Day. And thank you, committee. Thank you, everybody in our committee. Appreciate it.
And $5 just got back from a month in Kenya, which we've never been to, and I just have to tell you, Rotary works in strange ways. You drive through some of the poorest places, Rotary Foundation project. We're sitting at the airport. My husband sits next to a guy, Rotarian from California, makes solar panels, interested in some of the projects that we have in terms of building all over the place. So it's strange, strange world.
Great.
I have 20 happy dollars. I spent 7 days skiing in Utah with no injuries, and while I was there, my son got engaged. So I have 2 weddings this year to look forward to paying for.
Are you happy?
This is 20 happy, sad, and remembrance dollars. And I'm also glad that February's over. February we had a couple of losses. My dog of almost 12 years passed away. A lot of you guys have met Ace if you ever came to my house. He passed away peacefully at home. A couple days later, my aunt passed away, so I had enough of February. I just got over pink eye on Monday. Yesterday, I had a kidney stone. It's a great month. I'm happy it's over. And the happy part is my family and I are going to Disney next week for 10 days. So that should be memorable. And lastly, this morning for no real reason, I thought of Bob Bisbing. If you guys remember him, he was an amazing Rotarian. So I wore jeans just for him today, because he's the only one that actually called me out on jeans. So you're not supposed to wear jeans for Rotary or this club. Yeah.
So at the cost of talking about politics and getting like thrown out of the room, I just got back from a weekend in California, and the reason I speak about is to see my son, the baby of the family, which was amazing in so many ways. So the political part of this is at home, my husband and my stepson live a field apart or at odds and cannot even talk about anything political, which reflects the divisiveness in our country and everything else. Why am I bringing this up as a happy dollar? When I was in California visiting Sam, we had, he lives with a bunch of classmates, everybody does, right, in California. We had the most amazing 4.5 hour in the living room of just everybody wanting to understand positions, the differences in ages, the differences in coasts, and we talked heavily, all related to politics. It was the first time ever that there was just, tell me what that means and how does that work and why are you this way? There was no judgments, it was beautiful. It was the role model for perhaps what our country and how the world can unite. So, and hanging out there with Sam was amazing. And
Lisa, they should start a Rotary Club.
so I'm glad about that.
Yes, I have 5 happy dollars because I'm now a Rotarian.
I'll give a happy dollar to that.
I will give the last 2 happy dollars. All right, then I'll wait. Lexa, you go.
I have 5 support dollars. John, it's a leap year. I got you back on Saturday.
I have the last 2 happy dollars. In case you guys remember last year, I did Shade for the Brave at Emmaus. This year I am doing it again. March 18th, I will shave this all off. I raised $1,800 last year. I'm shooting for $2,500 this year. That's 100 friends give $25 is $2,500. Go to my Facebook page. It's for pediatric cancer. Thank you.
All right, so today we have a special presentation. Lexa, this is one of my favorite, getting to know one of our own.
Mine too, Stephen. I love classification talks, a chance to get to know more about each other. This person comes to us via Ashley Laura. I don't know how they met. Maybe we'll find out what they have in common. This person drives 35 minutes to get here in the morning. I had trouble with 15 minutes. And I hope he's also going to explain his classification. What is a public adjuster? Wade George.
Just bear with me for a second. Just want to get this up and running here.
You're good, Wade. You're on.
There we go. Very cool.
Am I doing this right there?
Got it.
All right. All right. Good morning. I have to say I'm very flattered by the turnout. I thought for sure I was going to be a crowd killer, so I am absolutely stunned and, like I said, very flattered and grateful, and I appreciate everyone that's sitting here right now. So once again, hello. My name is Wade George. I was born on February 22nd of 1982 at Abington Memorial Hospital. Yes, that means I'm a Pisces. Currently, I live in a small red brick Cape Cod in Percy. The house is surrounded by cemetery on two sides and was originally the gravedigger's house. I have a dog, a 13-and-a-half-year-old border collie named Pensy. I currently drive a Buick. Before that, I had a Lincoln and a Mercury before that. My first car was a 78 Camaro with Krager mags. At one point in my life, I worked at a full-service gas station pumping fuel and cleaning windshields. I also was a security guard at a nursing home. If you're looking to get married, I am ordained by American Marriage Ministries. I've done a wider variety of weddings than you would likely expect. I'm a lifelong Green Bay Packers fan, and I still miss Brett Favre. Personally, I think I'm hilarious. My sense of ironic humor comes from having parents who are basically kids themselves. My mom was 21 and my dad was 24 when I was born. I still remember my mom mocking my dad for turning 30. Yikes. This manifested into reading Albert Camus in high school. Trust me, my love of the absurd comes in handy every freaking day. I'm not Generation X, and I'm not really a millennial. Recently, I read that I'm supposedly what they call a Xennial. Being born of this time period, the early 1980s, gave me a unique perspective. I know how to use a rotary phone, and remember vividly when the Challenger exploded. I live in a time before cell phones, and was one of only a few kids at school to have the internet. Yet, I'm also young enough to be considered tech savvy, and can converse with and relate with both old and young alike. So I'm kind of like, get off my lawn. My kid's trying to fly his drone. So, I lived as a small child until 1987 in a farmhouse that was adjacent to the Limekiln Golf Course just outside of Horsham. Some of you have probably played there. Kurt Simmons and Robin Roberts, who were Phillies legends, were our landlords. I saw Kurt Simmons from time to time, and he would send over random Phillies merchandise for me. This began my lifelong love of baseball. It really was a neat place to grow up. There was construction out back due to an expansion of the golf course. The groundskeepers were whizzing by every day, and my mom took care of several horses that other people were boarding on the property. This was in addition to our own horses. Throughout my childhood and teenage years, I was surrounded by horses, dogs, chickens, cats, plastic flamingos, you name it. My buddy once told me my house looked like Marty Stauffer's house or a zoo or something. So naturally, I developed a lifelong love of trains. I'll get back to that. So there you can see a baby next to a cow. I mean, that's a very normal thing, right? And I got a John Deere hat because I was raised to be a hick, sitting next to my German Shepherd puppy. So when I got to kindergarten, I started off in the Hatboro-Horsham School District. They were in the middle of some school upgrades or something, so I had to take my kindergarten classes at the high school. I would start off on an elementary bus and then switch to a high school bus during my journey. Not something I could imagine happening today. Obviously, on my first day of school, they blew right by my bus stop on the way home. There was my mom, dad, extended family, all there waiting to greet me, looking on in horror as the bus whizzed by. I started to cry, of course. The older kids, they were very nice, and they helped calm me down and explain in English to the bus driver what had just happened. She proceeded to transfer me to a third bus, which finally got me home. Like I said, before the days of cell phones and helicopter parents. Later in 1987, we moved to Zion Hill, which is just above Quakertown, into a house with a barn and 12 acres. My parents still live there. The place has a lot more buildings than it did when I lived there. This is due to my parents' newfound passion for auctions. They are convinced that they're getting a bargain every time. Meanwhile, a new structure goes up to store said stuff. During my formative years, I was fortunate to be surrounded by multiple Pennsylvania Dutch neighbors. I learned a lot of wonderful things from them. I believe that my experiences with them are why I gravitate so much to this location. Emmaus and the surrounding area feels familiar to me. Much like Quakertown in the 90s, it's an area in transition, and it retains a lot of its roots while also looking to the future. I feel very much at home when I'm here amongst all of you. So now to the train thing. As a kid, I developed two major hobbies that would stick with me into adulthood: a deep and undying love of trains and a fascination with airplanes. My love of planes grew out of an interest in World War I fighters and eventually expanded into several different directions. When it comes to planes, however, I enjoy them from the ground. No Immelman turns for this guy. Although like most normal kids, I enjoyed Transformers and the X-Men, a lot of my childhood was spent chasing after, riding behind, and looking at trains. This happens to be my uncle's fault. My grandfather, who died when I was 2, and sadly I don't remember him, was a huge train fanatic. He loved model trains, real trains, train artifacts and memorabilia, you name it. He was also very much into driving insanely long distances in a single day to go see whatever he was in the mood to see. My uncle didn't inherit the bug for driving 8 hours one way, but he does love the railroads as much as my grandfather did. My uncle, my aunt, my grandmother all spent a lot of time with me as a kid. This allowed me to take on with the train seed and to allow it to take root and grow in me. Interestingly, I also inherited a desire to drive crazy distances for trains. Just this past October, I drove with my son all the way to Ohio and back. We made a weekend out of it, but this is normal for me. I've been to Cumberland, Maryland, Roanoke, Virginia, and plenty of other insane spots that no rational person would blow their precious and hard-earned time off on. I'm grateful to my love of trains because it gave me something to concentrate on as a kid and as a teenager. When I was only 12 years old, I joined the Lehigh Valley chapter in the National Railway Historical Society, and I can tell you I was by far the youngest person in that group. And I stayed in that group until I went off to college. This also is a source of my love of this area. We used to meet in the community room at the Whitehall Mall, and if any of you have ever been there, it's certainly not the Ritz-Carlton. Through the guidance of the many wonderful people in that group, I learned a ton about this area and its history. I rubbed shoulders with some legends of the hobby, including folks like Randy Culp, Bill O'Sullivan, Professor Dick Prince, and Gerhard Solomon. These may even be familiar names to some of you in this room. And I saw at an early age the value of being a part of a quality organization of good, community-minded people. I was also privileged to be sponsored for 2 years of Rail Camp at Steamtown National Historic Site. At Rail Camp, I made lifelong friends with folks such as Kyle Myers, whose parents are like an aunt and uncle to me, and the world's nicest man, Ryan Lamb. So here's some pictures of me when I was a kid. and then also when I was older, volunteering. And then that on the left is me riding with my son, and there's my little guy watching freight go by at Strasburg last year. And then that's me at rail camp. I'm the skinny guy on the left, looking nothing like I do now. And the gentleman who's actually on the far right there, Zach McGinnis, he's actually kind of a big name guy in STEAM nowadays, so it's kind of cool. I have a picture with my buddy Zach. So, circling back to baseball, I played from the time I was little up through high school, where I played varsity. Now that I'm too old and beat for that sort of thing, I'm part of a 12-team fantasy league. It's a very intense daily league, which I enjoy immensely. It also forces me to keep close tabs on what's happening in the game. I didn't realize I was old and beat, however, until I got past 30. So I played in a volleyball pickup league, and I also played flag football. I can tell you that old dudes playing flag football is not, I repeat, not a good idea. High school. So I went to Quakertown High School, and I graduated in 2000. On my first day of 9th grade in homeroom, I met Cheryl Gallagher. She thought I was a big nerd, and my buddy who went to middle school with her told me that he was afraid of her. She was athletic and Irish and stuff. Yeah, so I worked on it for a while. Timing and everything, you know. She was captain of the volleyball team. I was in German club. In football, they would call that a personnel mismatch. Finally, at the end of 11th grade, I got her to go out with me. We haven't been apart since. We were the cutest couple in our senior year of high school, if you can believe that, in the yearbook. And Cheryl and I have been together through a lot. I know people say that sort of thing often, but really we have. Almost 21 years we've been together. In that time, we've survived through going to separate colleges, working together at the same place twice, and countless milestones. We got married in 2005, so this year makes 15 years. I guess that means I have to do something nice this time, huh? So we have 2 boys. First, I'll go through some pictures of us at the prom. There we are. And that's when we got married. Yay, marriage. And we're on our honeymoon, and it's frightening to me when I looked at these pictures and I saw how young I was. I mean, jeez. And then finally getting a little bit older there. And we still managed to smile, which is amazing. And so, there you go. We have 2 boys. Our oldest, Wesley, was born in 2008 and is currently a 6th grader at Faith Christian Academy in Sellersville. Ironically, Faith is moving into the old Milford Middle School next year, which is a school that I also went to. It's crazy to me to think that my kid will be going to the same school as me. Wesley is crazy smart, and he shares a lot of my interests. When it comes to sports, however, he's a soccer guy. Our youngest, Graham, the little guy there getting hosed, you can see he's getting splashed out of water in that picture. My little guy, Graham, he was born in 2013. Unlike Wesley, who had a pretty straightforward birth and early childhood, Graham faced some challenges. Cheryl's water broke in 24 weeks while we were on vacation in Cape May. Fortunately, we didn't realize truly what was happening. We just cut our vacation short and came home so that she could go to the gynecologist. That led to a whirlwind trip up 309 in a big hurry to Lehigh Valley Hospital. Somehow, I guess because she's a superwoman, Cheryl kept Graham in for several more weeks before giving birth at 31 weeks and change. All told, my wife was in the hospital for 60 days. During that time, Wesley started kindergarten, so I had to single dad it while Cheryl and Graham were in the hospital, and I was only able to offer them a certain level of support because I had to take care of a kindergartner. It was kind of tough. We had to Skype his first day of kindergarten with her because she was in the hospital. It was really a hard time. But during all that time, we received a lot of kindness and support from family, friends, the hospital, and also from Lily's Hope Foundation. We continue to contribute to their very worthwhile cause. Anyway, about a year after all that happened, Graham had some bizarre skin infections which led to a diagnosis of neutropenia. Neutropenia is an autoimmune issue that I won't delve into the specifics on, but suffice to say it's not an easy thing to deal with. We spent more than our fair share of time down at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. That's another wonderful and worthwhile institution, I can assure you. Thank God Graham eventually outgrew his issues. After several years of chaos, today he is the biggest and healthiest kindergartner in all of Guth Elementary, and I couldn't be more proud of my kids. So there you can see my boys. all dressed up. And there's our dog. And down at the shore with the boys. As you can see, my little guy, he's very serious. He takes everything very seriously. And there they are fishing with my dad. And you can see they're eating. That's the most popular phrase in my house. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. So I went to college at Penn State Abington. It's truly a coincidence that I went to school in the same town where I was hatched. I very much enjoyed my time at Abington. While there, I was a tour guide, what they call a Lion Ambassador, or what my friend at the time called Line Bastards Club. To this day, I am excellent at walking backwards, uphill, while talking. I got my 4-year degree in history. I can't tell you the last time I was retained as an expert by Time Life Books, but at least I didn't get too slammed with debt. During college, I worked at the New Hope and Ivyland Railroad, which allowed me to turn my hobby into a paycheck. And they were some of the funnest years of my life. So there I am with all my co-workers there, some good people. Charles Check, the gentleman who's second from the right, he passed away a few years ago. He was a really wonderful person. And then this was a photo shoot we did, so I'm the conductor that's hunched over. And in those days, to do still photography at night, it was really brutal. We had to stand still for what felt like an eternity, because if you would even move just a little bit, it would blur the picture. So just standing there hunched over. Thank goodness I was only like 20. And then there I'm dressed up as a cop for our Bonnie and Clyde weekend, which was great because I got to fire blanks out of a shotgun all weekend. Even though I smelled like eggs, it was still phenomenal. That was not a weekend Cheryl wanted to hang out with me. I can trust you. Trust me. All right. All right, so I think I've always been a hard worker. I currently work between 50 and 70 hours a week, depending on what's going on. I gained my work ethic from watching my dad, who would say things like, "A sick day is a day you go to work sick." And my mom, who endlessly tends to those animals I told you about. I'm not insane like them, but I still commit myself fully to my work. I also developed a strong work ethic from my first job. I was 15 years old when I transformed into a working man. I was at a wholesale plant nursery called Turco's. They sold Pachysandra, Vinca, and Ivy. So if you're familiar with ground cover, that's what they specialized in. My first duty involved what was known as the sand pile, a pit of doom where young lads would shovel sand and mix it by hand with peat moss. I think the sole purpose of the sand pile was to weed out the people they hired. If they could cut us down from 10 to 3, I think that was the goal. So my first boss, his name was Matt Kellogg. I can still hear his voice in my head whenever I think I might not be doing what I'm supposed to be doing during my workday. All kidding aside, Mr. Kellogg is in many ways my creator as a worker. He was a good man, and the last I heard, he's teaching at a Christian college in Florida. As many of you may know, I am what's known as a licensed public insurance adjuster. To make it simple, I represent home and business owners in negotiation with their insurance company when there is a need to report a claim for damage. My character traits of being annoying, irreverent, and obstinate allow me to excel at my profession. I'm sure many of you have good stories about the hailstorm last year, which I would be more than happy to talk to you about at some other time. Prior to becoming a public adjuster, I worked for a fire, water, smoke damage restoration company. It was called Apex Restoration, and I worked there for close to 11 years. I started off as the office guy and also went out on emergency jobs cleaning things like sewage, brains, and broken glass from people's houses. From there, I progressed into a project manager and estimator. I also did independent adjusting and appraisal work. Believe you me, I've seen it all. We at one point had 2 locations, Sellersville and Pittston. Our volume was several $1 million per year, and life was great. Sadly, due to changes in the industry and other factors outside of our control, the business began to decline in 2010. It got pretty bad by 2012. At that time, my owner, one of my favorite people in my life and a true friend, Tom Blythe, decided to make a change, and he put me in charge of the entire business. Being young and naive, I believed that if I just worked a little bit better and a lot harder, we would turn the tide. Well, despite our best efforts and attempts to bring the business back, it didn't work out. It was heartbreaking laying off my coworkers and friends one person at a time. At the end, from close to 20 people, it was just Tom and myself. Tragically, on a Wednesday morning in October of 2015, Tom took his own life. This single event will forever resonate in my innermost core. To hear people say that failure is life's greatest teacher, well, I can tell you that the demise of a business and the suicide of your boss, the person who was counting on you to save the day, I cannot honestly think of a more complete and total defeat as that. I did learn a lot from this experience, much of which I still do not believe I fully grasped or understand, but it's in there somewhere for sure. With Tom, I did not see or pick up on the signs of how bad he was doing inside. I urge you to pay attention to those around you and the people you care about. If you suspect something is wrong, do something before it's too late. So, when Tom died, my good friend Jim Wagner found out within a matter of a couple hours. This is because Jim Wagner knows everyone and hears everything. I swear the guy's all seeing, it's unbelievable. So he immediately reached out to me with a telephone call. Jim is the owner of Alliance Adjustment Group. I will be forever touched by what he said to me. I haven't told too many people this story, to be quite honest. He first asked me if it was true that Tom was dead. Then he asked me if I was okay, and finally if I needed anything. He wanted to make sure that I had the basics necessary to care for my family under the circumstances. It was the most touching phone call I think I've ever had. What I did was I asked him for a job. Other than marrying Cheryl and having kids, of course, it was the best move I ever made. I hit the ground running there. Jim had everything I needed available for me to start from day one, and I haven't looked back since. I know it sounds corny, but we all should be blessed to have a boss and friend as genuine as Jim Wagner. I am so very grateful that I have a job that I love. I enjoy every single day of it. I'm not one of those people who dreads Monday, and I have the peace of mind of knowing what I want to do for the rest of my life as far as a worker. So to sum up my story, I'm not bragging about myself, and I certainly don't like yammering on about my life. Putting this together was not easy for me. However, I'm extremely grateful for all the people who have come and gone, or are still here, or may be yet to enter, who have allowed me to live such a fortunate and blessed existence. That is why I was eager to do this presentation. As I transition into the next half of my life, I've made it my goal to be as much of a blessing as I can for others. I work hard at a job I believe in, I work hard for a family I love, and I try to participate in activities that I believe make the world a better place. You all in this room make the world a better place every day, and I'm honored to be a small part of that. I cannot wait to see what exciting and new memories we make together. I cannot wait to learn the lessons we will all share together. I also hope that my unique background and experiences will substantially benefit this organization and this town. Thank you all for listening, and God bless.
Any questions for Wade?
So how did you and Ashley come to know each other?
Okay, so I guess not to get too long-winded, I always believed in the Lehigh Valley. From the day that I started as a public adjuster, I wanted to work in the Lehigh Valley. I just really wanted to be here for a lot of reasons, some of which I touched on. So I basically got in my car and just started driving around in a circle, hanging business cards in diners, randomly sticking business cards under windshield wipers at Home Depot and every hardware store I could find, just trying to build relationships. And so I slowly started to build those relationships and started to get more work in this area. Then I joined a couple networking groups, really kind of gained some momentum and traction. So I got it to the point where Jim Wagner believed in what I was doing enough to allow me to pick out my own office space, which I sarcastically call my professional bachelor pad. So I selected a spot at 2nd and Main Street in that same building that Ashley's in, and one of my first things I wanted to do was discuss the chamber. So tracked her down, got her to talk to me, and in a conversation about the chamber and everything I was looking to accomplish in the area, she said to me, I think you should come to Rotary. And so I came to Rotary, and here I am. All right. Thank you. And, you know, the biggest thing I pulled out of that, 40 is going to be a killer for you, dude. God bless you. All right, why don't we stand and close the meeting today with a Pledge of Allegiance. Reminder, board meeting immediately following.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everybody.